Like in most democratic countries, as Indonesia, the intelligence service in Germany is not a part of the police system. Its main task of the intelligence service is to provide information for the government on threats against the democratic system that do not automatically lead to prosecution. Therefore, these services are provided with powers that go beyond the legally clear defined powers of police and prosecutor. On the other hand, they have no law enforcement powers like that to arrest people, to search premises for evidence, and many more. Give you an example. In my country, wiretapping, that means to listen into telephones, is allowed to the intelligence service without a warrant. The police, the prosecutor, always needs a warrant of a judge to do that. And it's not easy to get it. But the intelligence services can do it without a warrant, and they are only supervised by a parliamentarian commission, not by a judge. And this leads me to a problem I would like to describe as intelligence versus evidence. Of course, information gathered from the intelligence services cannot be used as evidence at a court. They do not apply to the legal standards we have to apply to. If the intelligence services turn their information to the police, it will be normally only for preventive purposes, like avoiding a planned attack to occur. They have information about an attack, a bomb attack, which is planned, and they turn it to the police for taking preventive measures that this cannot happen. Of course, this information, it's what we call a soft information, cannot be used as evidence for a prosecution. It will never stand any court. On the other hand, the prosecutor, when he knows about that information, he will push the police to gain evidence for prosecution, and that again could lead to jeopardizing the intelligence operation. You understand? A vicious circle. The intelligence wants to get more and more information, and the prosecutor wants to start prosecuting, but starting prosecuting ends the intelligence operation. So it is a very big dilemma. It's a good way to show you the dilemma the police faces in fulfilling both tasks, prevention and prosecution. And on the prevention side, oftentimes having to cooperate with the intelligence services. Another thing, protection of the sources, especially human sources. Those are the people that give you information. Intelligence services call them human sources. Bad word, but it's a technical term. This is a major concern to protect them for all intelligence services. Law enforcement, the police, has to understand this concern that sometimes might need not to reveal information to the police as a consecutive operation of the police could lead to the disclosure of that source. But unfortunately, the availability of human sources in international terrorism is very scarce. Not over here in Indonesia. The police have the big chances to get human sources, but we in our countries have many problems. In European countries, Islamist extremist groups live in a rather isolated community. They're mainly Arabic speaking, coming from Arabic countries. Not only the language problem, which already is a problem, but the cultural and religious problems prevent them against being penetrated. So it's even for the intelligence services nearly impossible to get into these Islamic circles that might form the part of a terrorist group. Very, very complicated. Furthermore, a problem, but this may be boring for you, is that there are oftentimes more than one intelligence service in most of the countries. You have the internal and the external intelligence, you have military intelligence, and they are most of the time handled by different organizations, not always talking to each other. In a federal system like mine, Germany is a federal republic like Australia, where the states have their certain rights and where the overall federation has its right. And we even have intelligence services on the state level and on the federal level. But they are coordinated more or less by the Federal Intelligence Service. It is not easy to solve these problems, but the keywords for me are clear regulations, communication, and cooperation. Whoever is gathering the information, one agency should be responsible in the whole country to evaluate the information and turning it over to the police. In getting to know the stakeholders of all this intelligence community and meet them on a frequent basis is a reasonable way to understand each other and to find ways to avoid many dilemmas. We have, for instance, in Germany since 2004 a joint counterterrorism center in our capital Berlin, which is not a legal body with a head, but a cooperation framework. And besides the police and the intelligence service, all stakeholders in the fight against terrorism, like the prosecutors, the federal prosecutor, the border police, and many other agencies meet on a daily basis and discuss the problems occurring. It has developed to a tool that is able to overcome many of these obstacles I just talked about. And one of the things I always try to teach young police officers, and over here in Indonesia you find the problem, never hate the intelligence service. Cooperate with them. Cooperate with them, it's the only way to be successful. But unfortunately young police officers tend to talk very bad about intelligence services, and the intelligence service have their ways to talk about law enforcement people like police officers and prosecutors.